I recently spent a few days in Germany to visit the area around Königstein, just about 40 kilometers from Dresden, where I chose to stay. Now I had booked a one-day trip to both Bastei and Königstein, but to be honest, you could spend several days at each location. According to mainstream history, Bastei is a rock formation rising 194 meters above the Elbe and 305 meters above sea level. It became a known tourist spot in the early 1800s. The first bridge, built in 1824, was made of wood, which seems odd considering the stone foundations underneath. In 1851, the current sandstone bridge was constructed, 76.5 meters long, with 7 arches crossing the 40-meter deep Martertel ravine. Nearby, you'll find the ruins of Felsenberg Neurathen, once the largest rock castle in the area. Today you can see carved chambers, old passages, water cisterns, and beam notches in the stone. It was turned into an open-air museum in 1982, though access is currently closed for maintenance. At the eastern end of the bridge is Neurathener Felsentor, a medieval gate with traces of an old drawbridge. But standing there, looking out over it all, I couldn't help but wonder, are these really just natural rock formations? Or could they be remnants of something far older? The ruins of giant structures built upon by later generations. The view from up there is absolutely breathtaking. In the distance you can spot arches and stone formations that resemble ancient fortresses. This entire region is scattered with so-called table mountains, and one of the most striking is Lilienstein, rising 415 meters above sea level. But to me, none of it feels natural. I believe we're looking at remnants of something far older, something from a forgotten past. This mountain once held Berg Lilienstein, probably built around the year 1200, first mentioned in 1379, and believed to have been abandoned in the 1500s. On the opposite bank of the river lies the very place I came all this way to see, Königstein Fortress, once a refuge for Saxon rulers, later used as a state prison until 1922, and even as a prisoner of war camp during both World Wars. It was never conquered. Since 1955, it has served as a military history museum. Nicknamed the Saxon Bastei, Königstein is one of the largest hilltop fortresses in all of Europe. It stands on a vast plateau covering 9.5 hectares, rising 240 meters above the Elbe, with ramparts stretching 1.8 kilometers and stone walls reaching up to 42 meters high. But I don't believe this was ever just a hill. To me, it feels like the entire thing was once part of a massive structure, used and reused over time. Nothing about it feels natural. And what about this wall? The so-called natural rock formation seems to begin halfway up in the air, unless it stretches inward and is supported from within. I ended up spending most of my time down here and only went up for a short while. What really captured my interest were the stone formations and the building at the base. I chose to walk all the way up to take in as many impressions as possible. But there's also the option of either using an indoor elevator or the outdoor glass elevator. The lower part of this wall is starting to look almost like a natural formation. And here, more stonework begins to blend into what looks like sedimentary layers. And some shots taken from higher ground. And why are all the statues and faces on buildings always so grotesque? According to history, the fortress ramp was heavily fortified with multiple gates, traps, and passages protecting the only entrance. The wagon winch, first built in 1779 and replaced with iron in 1877, was used to haul cannons and heavy wagons up the steep path, or so they say. At the summit stands Magdalenenberg. I didn't go inside, but I found old images of the building's wine cellar. Incredibly, it once housed one of the largest wine barrels in the world, commissioned by Augustus the Strong in 1723, with a capacity of over 238,000 liters. It looks like something out of science fiction. Visiting this area was a powerful experience. You could spend days hiking through these places, far from the tourist crowds, just taking in the quiet, the mystery, and the overwhelming scale of what might have been.